To the east, the sun was slowly climbing its way to prominence, the sky matching the colour of Morgan's tired red eyes. He was exhausted, and it was only for this reason that he was a content passenger on the flight and not at the controls. The pilot felt Morgan's hunger. "You can take her in, if you'd like, sir," the British man offered. "Oh, you, Philip," Morgan replied. "Choppers were always more my thing." He thought with fondness of the Black Hawks he had flown during combat missions as a Marine. Then, as it always did, the fondness soon slipped away, replaced by the gut-gripping sadness of loss. Morgan had walked away from the worst day of his life, but others hadn't. What is it the British say on their Remembrance Day? At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Morgan liked that. Of course, he remembered those he had lost every minute between the rising and the setting as well. Every comrade of war, every agent of private fallen in their mission. Morgan remembered them all. He rubbed at his eyes. He was really tired, but he was alive. And so Morgan looked again at the printed email in his hand, the friendly message that he had read multiple times, trying to draw out a deeper meaning, for surely the simple words were the tip of a blade. As the sprawl of London appeared before him, he was trying to figure out if private were intended to be the ones to shield against that weapon, or if it would instead be driven into the organization's back. He was trying to figure this out because the email had not come from a friend. It had come from Colonel Marcus de Villiers, a Coldstream Guards officer in the British Army. Though no enemy of Morgan's, he was certainly no ally, and when in doubt, Morgan looked for traps. That was why he was alive. But de Villiers was more than just an aristocratic gentleman in an impressive uniform. He was the head of security for a very important family, perhaps the greatest and most important family on earth. And that was why Morgan was flying at full speed to London. Because Jack Morgan had been invited to meet the powerful people under de Villiers' care. He had been invited to meet the royal family. Chapter 2. Morgan stepped from the jet into a balmy morning of English summer. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" The man waiting on the tarmac beamed. Morgan took in the uniformed figure. Colonel Marcus de Villiers was every inch the tall, impressive man that Morgan remembered from 2 years ago, when Private had rescued a young royal from the bloody clutches of her kidnappers. De Villiers had been a sneering critic of Morgan and his agents then, and Morgan was certain that beneath the smile, the sentiment was still strong. "It is a beautiful day, Colonel, but you weren't so keen to exchange pleasantries last time we met," Morgan replied, "after I refused to cover up the Duke of Aldershot's involvement in the kidnapping of his own daughter." "All's well that ends well," de Villiers shrugged, trying hard to keep his smile in place. "The Duke died before he got to trial and faced justice." Morgan shook his head. "I wouldn't call that ending well. One could say that death is the most absolute form of justice, Mr. Morgan, but that's beside the point. The whole business went away quietly, which was very well received where it matters. If you've brought me here to boast that a royal scandal stayed out of the papers, Colonel, then you're wasting my time. I took this meeting out of respect for the people you represent, but I'm ready to step back onto this jet and head home if you don't tell me in the next 10 seconds why I'm here." "Very well, Mr. Morgan. I didn't bring you here to boast about avoiding a royal scandal. I brought you here to prevent the next one." Chapter 3. Morgan joined de Villiers in the blacked-out Range Rover that waited beside the landed jet. The colonel would divulge no more information, but he had said enough to get Morgan's attention. The men were driven from London's outskirts into the lush green countryside of Surrey, where multi-million-pound properties nestled in woodlands. It was beautiful, and Morgan watched it roll by the tinted windows as he considered who he might be heading to meet and why. The British royal family was large, with Queen Elizabeth II at its head, and dozens of members tied in by blood or marriage. But Morgan had some clue as to who they were driving to see in the English countryside. Colonel de Villiers had once told Morgan that the family's inner circle was his concern, so the American was either on his way to meet the Queen herself or one of her